Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Johann Fitch. I play Tim Drake in the YouTube series Red Hood Resurrection. I'm also going to be playing Tim Drake in the upcoming spin-off episode Becoming Robin, coming out New Year's Eve. It actually came about because David Michael Reardon, the star of the show, who plays Red Hood / Jason Todd, was good friends with Noah Byer, the director. They grew up together. And him and I would basically get in contact through Zoom. And we would try and save money because we were both kind of, broke aspiring actors. So we'd reach out to each other, do Zoom calls, and basically run scenes together. And we both found a similar interest in superheroes. And we just started spitballing ideas and just talking about our dreams and aspirations. And he ended up showing me this little student film project that he did with Noah Byer back in the day. I watched it. I was like, hey, that's not too bad. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to reach out to this guy, see if he's wanting to do something with this. Would you be interested? I was like, yeah, for sure. I'd be down for it. Little did I know it was going to spitball and snowball into this whole sort of effect that Red Hood Resurrection came to be. They came together. Noah wrote a script. They reached out to me again to confirm that I was down. Obviously, I was. And we're here now after completing season 1 and completing my spin-off episode of Becoming Robin. So it's been a really cool journey. Honestly, being the fact that we all share these similar interests, it makes it so much more fun when we're filming together, because we all have so much passion for these characters. And to be working with someone like David, who's such a driving force when leading a film, he really knows how to be very inclusive with the whole cast, crew, everything. And Noah, as a first-time director, just seeing his growth every single episode and seeing our growth as like a cast and the chemistry and really becoming a family after these 3 years, it's been so amazing. So yeah, just the fact that we're all in the same space, we all know the struggle, we are all putting in the hard work needed to make the best product possible. So it's almost like we have each other's backs in this industry, but also are pushing each other forward. So it's really, really cool. Well, first of all, we didn't really get support until this year. I wouldn't want to say we blew up, but we started getting a lot more traction once episode 4 dropped. And, the edits came about on TikTok, which really started sparking the whole movement towards Red Hood Resurrection. And it's so validating when you put in so much work and you really don't know who's going to see it. I mean, especially a YouTube series. It's not like it's going to go out to theaters or a streaming platform where you're like, all right, it's going to at least reach 50K views no matter what. It's a YouTube series. People actually have to find it and click it. And for that to just spark and for us to only receive love, I would say out of all the comments, maybe like 2% is hate comments. And to know that people actually like the work that you're putting in, it's just even more inspiring and more fuel to the fire to just keep going. You know what I mean? So Becoming Robin is I wouldn't say next project. It's basically a spin-off of the project Red Hood Resurrection. And it is a project I am very, very proud of. It's basically a prequel for the character Tim Drake, aka Robin, in Red Hood Resurrection. And it's kind of all the events that led to him being introduced at the end of episode 2. So the whole story is basically a character study on his progression of Robin. And he's not really becoming Robin, aka like receiving the role of Robin. It's more of him gaining an understanding of what it means to be a Robin and the responsibilities that come with that. And it's basically him versus himself, him being stubborn, him trying to be a perfectionist. He's basically expecting greatness with only 6 months of training, And you can see him almost basically self-destruct in a way because he's so irritated that he's unable to complete these tasks that he feels is necessary for the role, that all this pressure just comes crumbling down to where he realizes that even Batman needs his Robin. And the reason I mention that is it's basically his time in Gotham kind of tackling that by himself, because in the story, Batman is off-world and he left Gotham in control of Robin. And he wants to prove himself in that aspect. Becoming Robin came about because I'm basically a part of the Discord that is a bunch of our supporters from Red Hood Resurrection. And, I was just really bored at work one day, so I just started texting them. I was like, how cool would a prequel for Tim Drake be? Just goofing around, And it got a lot of traction. I reached out to Noah. At first, the response was kind of just dry. And then I came back with a storyline that kind of revolved around the comics with Tim Drake's addiction to caffeine. And Noah showed some interest, and we basically collaborated on the process of the character study of Tim Drake. And we came up with the story together, which was really fun for me because I've never been a part of the writing process of any project I've been a part of. So it was a lot of creative freedom on my end, and I really am grateful for Noah for that, because Noah is a great writer, but for him to basically let me take charge a little bit of his baby, you know what I mean? And make it my own, and let me play here and there, even on set. It was so fun as an actor to just play with a character that I feel so connected to. And so I really resonated with the story because I was going through a lot of the stuff that Tim was going through, which was lacking a lot of confidence in my acting, in my day-to-day months before. And I kind of had a similar sort of experience that Tim Drake was going through in becoming Robin, where I kind of broke down and just thought I wasn't good enough. And it was a really tough time. That happened around the summertime. Little did I know, I feel like it was just God kind of tinkering with my sort of emotional life to represent Tim Drake a lot better and bring that into the project. So that really helped, just getting into the mindset of Tim Drake, because I had just been there, you know what I mean? And I healed from it. But it was almost like stepping back into that element and using that sort of failure turning the failure into a success, so that was really great. So yeah, I mean, it just resonated a lot with the life or the situations I was going through at that time, and we just basically put it into a story, To be honest with you and to the audience, I did not have much of a connection to Tim Drake. I originally saw Tim Drake as training wheels, per se, to my dream role of playing Dick Grayson / Nightwing. And Nightwing was Robin before that, and Tim Drake in this series is Robin. So I wanted to use that as a way to tackle the role, a superhero role, one, but the role of Robin, to kind of get in that mindset and everything like that, but not tackle it the way I would tackle Dick Grayson. So that I could still kind of hold on to that sort of idea and that physicality that I'd like to bring to Dick Grayson for when I truly auditioned for the role. So yeah, it was training wheels. And as the series went on, and I started dealing with similar situations that Tim Drake was dealing with, and I resonated with him in my days back in my earlier days in college, I really started to personalize myself with him. And I feel that's kind of what makes Tim Drake so personable in Red Hood Resurrection, which I've seen is a lot of the comments, which I'm super grateful for, because that was something I was going through. I hope this doesn't sound corny, but he became a part of me. And now I love Tim Drake. I love what the character represents. I basically kind of had to find my way into that character through my own traumatic experiences in ways that I never thought I'd use them. He's been really impactful for me, career-wise and craft-wise. So Nightwing in Red Hood Resurrection is played by Nicholas Seller. Great friend of mine, great actor, ogre is what I call him. Nicholas has done a really good job at embodying the trauma that Dick Grayson went through with the death of Jason Todd. I think those are the moments that he tackles best. And I really was inspired by two scenes in particular, which is the opening scene of episode 4 with his interaction with Jason Todd, where you could just see the struggle of letting Jason be his own hero, but also trying to protect him. And those are some moments that I know Nightwing is going to have to tackle, where he wants to be a leader, he wants to be an older brother, but at the same time, he knows that sometimes you got to let people find their own way or, build their own path. And then you can still see how that guilt affects him when dealing with my character, Tim Drake, and how he's so rough on me and harsh, but it comes from a place of shame and guilt. So I really like how he tackles those moments. Hopefully they bring Jason Todd / Red Hood into DCU, because that's a storyline I'd love to tackle as Nightwing. And there's many moments that he portrayed that I would like to take inspiration from. So shout out him for sure. So as many know, especially from this interview, plus Discord and supporters of the series, they're well aware of my goal and dream of playing the role of Nightwing. And a lot of people have asked whether or not I was offered the role to begin with, being that I'm so passionate about the character. And funny enough, Noah and David came up to me and were asking if I wanted to play the role, because originally I was cast as Tim Drake. We had someone else playing Nightwing. He actually bailed due to just retiring from acting. And then they reached out to me. They're like, hey, look, we know how passionate you are about this character. We know you're younger than David, but we feel like it could still work if you're interested. And I actually said no right away. I felt like a couple things. I'm a little superstitious, so I didn't want to jinx myself. But also, I felt like I wasn't ready for the role. I knew one day I will be prepared, and I feel like I've gotten really close to that point. But I feel I wasn't ready in my craft to tackle that role. And also, I just felt as though I didn't want what I have in mind for Nightwing to be pushed out to the world yet, because it's something I hold very dear to me. And I feel like the only time that I really want to explore that character is knowing that I'll have the chance to fully express his whole sort of story in the DCU. So I kind of wanted to hold that moment for myself. I want to know internally, like, hey, I'm ready for this. I know deep down it's kind of the goal and the trajectory and what I'm working towards, but I'm still just not ready. But I feel like I'm getting closer to that place. Earlier this year, I was dealing with an acting coach who is well respected in the industry. And I struggled a lot this year because I have been acting now for 5 years, coming close to 6. And, sometimes you get ahead of yourself, and you can sometimes not admit that you're not at the level that you think you are. Every time I'd come into acting class, she would belittle me. She would basically say, you're just not getting it. And it started getting a little personal. Especially me, I would consider myself quite a confident person, but something that I find so passionate, and to just be told constantly week after week that you're just not getting it and you're just not good enough, and to have people around you growing and you just constantly just hitting this plateau, I actually started getting anxiety going to class and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't go. I'd make up excuses. I was getting nervous just walking in, performing on stage. That I had this meltdown after class one day, and I just started praying to God. I was like, should I just keep doing this? Like, what's the point? I don't see any progression. I feel like I've stayed the same level for the past 3 months. And it's something that I dealt with myself. I didn't tell my friends or family because, I have a lot of supporters who believe in me. And so any sign of failure, I didn't want to express that to them. I went through a period where I basically didn't go to class for a month. And I was just with myself and doing Bible studies and honing in on self-growth rather than, I kind of basically just took a break from my passion. And in that sort of period of growth, I learned a lot about myself. I was doing a lot of self-reflecting, to where I came back that next month, and it was as if she said it herself, that I was a whole different actor. But I finally let myself be seen in a way that I never did before. I had always thought going into scenes and training that I need to perform at this certain level or do this a certain way so that I'm viewed as a good actor, when in reality, I just needed to be myself. And so I needed time to myself to find out who that was. But it took fine-tuning to get to that point. A story that, honestly, sorry to switch it, but the reason I took these risks and the reason why I resonate so much with people that have a hard time pursuing their passion is I played Division I soccer, and it was my whole life. I grew up playing soccer since the age of 6. When I was playing Division I soccer, I once again felt I was put in a state where I had lost I was stripped of all my confidence. I didn't believe myself. I was getting belittled on a day-to-day basis by my coach. And we were told that we were able to receive therapy if needed. And so I went up to my coach, and we did not have a good relationship. So it took a lot of balls to do this. And I said, look, coach, I don't think I'm in a good place mentally. So I was wondering if I could maybe look into the therapy program. And he looked at me, he's like, you don't need a therapist. And I was like, I just feel like I'm really struggling right now. And he goes, if you think you're struggling right now, wait till life hits you. Life fucking sucks, right? And that made me realize that if life sucks, right, I'd rather it suck while I'm doing something that I am actually passionate for than it suck and I'm playing soccer for someone else. You know what I mean? Once again, I had no self-confidence at that point, so I didn't quit on the spot. But COVID happened, and it was a exit for me, and I took the chance. And once COVID happened, I started pursuing acting full time because of that moment where I realized if life is gonna hit you in so many different ways, I might as well do what I want to do. So I have a huge support system, which I'm very, very grateful, because a lot of aspiring actors don't have people that support them as much. I've been blessed to have been raised by such a great foundation. Even my friends, my best friends, like, they have supported me so much through this journey, and it's a lot, it's a lot more needed than I let it show. And a month before shooting Becoming Robin, a very impactful moment in my life, because the only person that was close to me that ever showed doubt in my future and career was my father. He wasn't very supportive of my acting when I first started. In September of this year, we basically went to go watch F1, the movie with Brad Pitt. And after the movie, my dad came up to me crying, and he basically put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, I want you to know I believe in you. And I'm very proud. And then he started crying. And in that moment, I hugged him and I just said thank you, and I kind of brushed it off. But that moment was so impactful for me, and I look back at it many times because it lit a fire in me. And it helped improve my acting so much, because so many moments in my acting when I thought I needed to get sad or depressed or emotional, I was thinking back at sad moments in my life, and they weren't doing it. And I realized it was the love of my family that was my real, they call it, in my acting class, they call it hot people. And so it's people that really just turn on those emotions for you. And so for me, that moment, I basically use that and utilize it, and it's now part of my toolbox in acting so that I can get to that emotional state a lot easier for me. And so yeah, so my dad has been my biggest support system this year, but throughout my whole career, it's honestly been my mother, my brother, also known as my best friend, and honestly just my core group of friends. They have been like also a huge driving force for me. A large part of my process as an actor is I train in stage. And so a large portion of the knowledge I gained this year in my career is transitioning from stage to film, which actually brings up a great quote that I, funny enough, have it pulled up right here. Theater or film? I often compare the two media to lovemaking. No, it adds some leeway, please. So this quote is by Eli Wallach, which I read in one of the books I've read. I read books regarding acting to better my craft. And so the quote goes like this. Theater or film? I often compare the two media to lovemaking. In theater, on stage, one goes through the entire experience. Curtain up, foreplay, excitement, then finally an orgasmic release. Curtain down. In film, there's action, foreplay, excitement, and just before you reach the glorious moment of release, the director yells, cut. Let's do that scene again. And the reason why it really resonated with me, in stage, we really get to learn how to fully experience a moment, really be connected with the actor. And there's so much freedom. There's no eye line. There's no, stand right here and then say your lines. There's no cutting in between the scenes, redoing it, the director going, hey, have a little inflection on this line, or say it this way. I like it this way. With stage, you get that, like he said, that orgasmic experience of really living it out truthfully in the imaginary circumstance. While on film, Though I still love film, but this has made me gain a larger appreciation for stage. But on film, it's beats and moments that they're looking for, and certain eye lines where you're not even looking at the actor. So you have to pull from the toolboxes that you learn from stage to use in film, which can be a little bit more challenging because it feels a little bit more manufactured at times, especially if you're doing the scene for the 7th time. You know what I mean? And then now they're finally covering your eye line. And now you have to act as if it's the first time you're hearing these words or saying these words. So it's the constant repetition of being on set is what I feel like I'm lacking at the moment. Luckily, once again, the praises of RHR, Red Hood Resurrection, has made me feel made me feel validated in that sense. But it's tough knowing that I'm giving such heartfelt, connective performances on stage, and I'm not able to bring that same intensity or life to film because I'm just not used to it yet. So it's been challenging that aspect. Those are some of the challenges I still face, which I hope to, get better at within the coming year. But that's kind of the main goal as of now, just to be on set more and be more familiar with that playground, because I feel like I've kind of nailed the stage here and there. Still working on it, but yeah. Want to plug the book? Thank you everyone for watching. I really hope you guys check out Becoming Robin, New Year's Eve. Let me think how I want to say it. Thank you guys for checking out Pastoral Entertainment. I have it tattooed. Thank you guys for checking out, Damn, y'all got me in my head. Thank you guys for checking out the interview. I really appreciate it. And shout out, fuck me. Maybe I gotta read a quote. Good, John. Thank you guys for tuning in. Big shout out to Pastorella Entertainment for documenting this whole thing. Please guys check out Red Hood Resurrection, the finale. Episode 6 comes out next spring. And please check out Becoming Robin, releasing on New Year's Eve. Yeah, fine? Yeah. All right.